Hello and welcome back to the worst Warmachine channel on the internet. I'm Olorian, and it's time for another Warmachine battle report. In fact, this will be a double header. Now, when I was trying to decide what to play today, I wanted to play something fun. So I went over to the Cygnar forums and I put up a simple poll. I said, what caster do you wish was better? A caster that you know is not the greatest, but you enjoy the character so much that you just wish it was good. And by and large, the vast majority of the Cygnar community said exactly the same thing, which is Jakes2. And I gotta tell you, I totally feel where they're coming from. Before the dynamic update, there was a key group of people that were diehard Jakes2 loyalists. They would try and make her work. She's a very interesting caster, but honestly, it just wasn't really there. And post-update, nothing happened to Jakes2. I think really the biggest thing that happened to Jakes2 is that her competition got better. So that when you were looking at what was at the bottom of the barrel, you had things like, maybe you had Sturgis, and you had things like Darius, and Sturgis got way better. And Darius, people are still underestimating that model. It's really, really good now. But even that has been moved up, where now I feel it's pretty evident that Jakes2 is probably that one that's at the bottom near of all the Cygnar casters. Now, I say that knowing that there's some other things that exist in there, like the Nemo 2s and the stuff like that, but it's in that area of the bottom of the barrel for Cygnar. So not the worst, but you gotta look to the bottom of the toy bin to find it. Now, that being said, here we are playing Jakes2, and I think that this is the time to actually make a new archetype that I think is a big thing that Cygnar players are really sleeping on. So before I get into anything else, let's quickly go over what this archetype is. So really what this resolves around is really the Reliant. So after the dynamic update, the Reliant went down in points and it got accumulator, and that is massive. You have this cheap jack that is, has a gun, does amazing things with lightning, so if you want to do lightning synergies, but more importantly, got that accumulator with Storm Knights. And so as long as you're having the odd Storm Knight around, you get that free focus. And we all know from seeing Infernals, where they had that in the one theme, so that's why Sloan pops off hard in Infernals, is that all those jacks can get that free focus and do so much with it. Now, the other part that you do with this archetype is obviously because we're talking about lightning, we're going to have some Fireflies in there so that we can be going in there and doing some extra damage. And more importantly, we want at least a min unit of Stormguard. That Stormguard is going to be there as Storm Knights to actually be giving that accumulator. And more importantly, they got a gun that now also adds 2 damage to lightning damage rolls. So between that and the Fireflies, the POW 13 of the Reliance goes up to a very respectable 17. And when you pretty much have on all of these, the 2 focus so they can boost the hit and boost damage, that's amazing. And then after you have that first volley of ranged fire, well, then obviously your opponent's going to come in, the Storm Guards in front, and the Fireflies, they're probably going to come in and kill those things. And then what do you got? A whole bunch of Reliance that you can load up with focus and close out the game. So that's the archetype. And now let's jump over to Jakes and explain why I feel this is maybe the best place to be trying to actually do this right now. Now, if we look in Jakes, the first biggest thing that's going to give us a bit of a hint of this is going to be the feat. So the feat is going to be making it so that, sure, we're immune to electricity, we have parry, whatever, that doesn't matter. The main thing is that all of our friendly faction models are going to get range 2 and Electroleap. The Electroleap is cute. The biggest thing is that range 2, because Reliants are only range 1. Now, in the past, like I said before the dynamic update, people were doing this to trenchers so that your trenchers could charge in, they could have the extra range and do some Electroleap silly things, and that's really it. It was cute, it wasn't really overly powerful. Now, here's the other thing on her card that really adds to this, though, that you want to do with Jacks and not with trenchers, is that she has 2 very key spells. One escort so that all of your battle group is getting +2 movement. So now those Reliants that used to not really threat all that far are now actually going to be getting +3 threat, 2 from the escort, another 1 from the reach, and that is extremely significant just to add on there all the time, right? Oh, sorry, not all the time. So the 2 inches all the time, 3 inches just on the feet. The other part here as well is that she has positive charge. So yes, you can do this with your trenchers. You can run up there with like a lancer or something and be spreading it around. But obviously, if you're going to be setting in a jack anyway, hey, why not we just set in a better jack to do some work here? And of course, with positive charge, you're giving that model +2 to hit and +2 damage. And then your friendly faction models within 3 inches also get that. So it's a massive buff you can be doing to all your models. And how can you afford to do this with such limited focus? Well, Accumulator is the way that you're making this work now. So looking at my list, it's just going to have a whole bunch of Reliants and then this package where I'm supposed to go in, shoot them up, threat 17 inches with those guns because I can walk up 7, shoot 12. Sorry, that's totally wrong. I'm going to be threating 19. So that's really, really good there. Leaving hazards all over the place. And then when it's fight time, yeah, let's do this. All right, so with that being all explained and why I'm going the way that I'm going, let's do a trigger warning. And the reason why I want to be saying this trigger warning is that this game is going to involve proxies. It's going to be involving proxies because, one, I don't own 6 Reliants. I own 1 Reliant. So I'm going to be using a bunch of Defenders and an Avenger, and we're going to pretend that they're all Reliants. You know, that's not super crazy bad. Also, my first opponent just basically grabbed the bag, ran to the store, turned out there was missing a Seraph. So if you see a Blighted Archon, that's going to be a Seraph. So just a warning before we actually do jump into the game. And with that, let's jump into the game. All right, so this first game here is going to be me up against my buddy Mark. He's been really busy with life things, so it's fantastic to see him. And he's dropping against me Abby1. Now, Abby1 is someone I was very used to back in the old days of Mark II. She has really changed during Mark III here, and she has this awesome model that's done through Mini Create. If you have a chance to grab this somewhere, get it. It is fantastic. Mark has not painted up yet, and I can't wait till he does, because this is just a wonderful model and should make for a very interesting game. All right, so Mark won the initiative. I picked this side over here, and really what we're looking at here is that he has a pretty symmetrical army. He's going to have an Angelius on either side, the Ravagors, and then the Proteus, which is the main threat coming down the middle. And so for those who don't know, basically the way that Abby1 works is that she can kind of like do this play God thing, where she can go and give herself abilities and give it off to another target as well. And so between things like the Slipstream and the extra threat through the playing God, that Proteus is going to be threading something like 17 inches, and it is pretty significant. And as well, her feat allows her to heal everything and make it so that you can go there and, like, whenever you're being hit, basically heal every time that you're being hit. So it's something where it's like, you can go in, get the alpha, and then either do it defensively, or if you got shot in the way in, heal all that shooting damage, and then go in for that alpha type thing. So yeah, this could be very scary. I wish I was going first. Really, my thoughts are in this is that I don't feel this is going to be a scenario game. So really, I was trying to pick this side as a side where I was going to limit where he could actually hide from my guns. If I was on the other side, he would love to be behind this burning rubble, because the burning effect also makes the cloud, which the Legion models ignore. So I'm hoping by taking the wall and the cloud away from him, I'm going to be able to get that advantage. But I'm telling you, him going first is going to be a huge pain. All right, going to turn 1, he does what you would expect. Everything is rushing up. He is going to be rushing up that Proteus. If you see the little like marker there in the middle, that's where it is. You know, like Legion models, especially Proteus, have a lot of little tentacles and things all over the place. So he's using it just there for now. Otherwise, he has things like on the flanks. He has like that Feral Geist that are going to be going for the flag and stuff like that. Sure, whatever. Like I said, I do not feel this is going to be a scenario game, but it's something that I'm going to be ready for. So at this point, I just got to make sure I don't get punched in the face too hard. So on my side of the one, I basically put Escort up. I put Bullet Dodger up onto good old Dreyfus there. I am just going to let that drop. I was like, I should put Bullet Dodger somewhere, but I really am going to need that focus somewhere else. So it's there for now, but I'm going to be dropping it. Otherwise, I start asking him his threats, and they're massive. You know, like 14 inches, 17 from Proteus. You know, like he's going to be able to go out very far. So really what I did is I kept all my important battle group outside of that, and then what I did is kind of just moved up my Stormguard that I don't really care about. Most of them are behind the wall anyway, and then if he does want to charge up and do something, sure, let him. He's probably going to at least go up with the Angelius and shoot some front models, and he can shoot whatever he wants. Again, I'm going to be keeping out of range of his charge attack, but he also has guns as well. So I am just basically trying to give him as little as possible, and then next turn, hopefully I can just do a hell of a ton of work. So on his turn, that's basically what he does, is goes up, takes some shots, doesn't really do all that much though. He kills one model, and otherwise on the right side goes and shoots at the one gun platform. I didn't expect him to do that. Like, the Storm Tower is really dangerous against more things that are like, you know, Jack, so I can disrupt you, but apparently he was pretty scared of it, lit it on fire, sure, whatever, no big deal. The thing that is a bigger deal that I didn't expect is that I was kind of joking with him and saying, like, oh, are you going to pop your feet? And he goes, yep. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. He's like, no, really, I'm going to pop my feet. So basically, I thought he was going to be using it on the alpha, but he wants it to do it right away just to try and make sure that since he knows this is going to be the time I'm going to be going in and shooting with my guns, he wants to be taking that away from me and trying to save as many things as possible. My goal will be to be shooting off 2 pieces here, and he's hoping I can just kind of shoot off 1, basically. So my plan for this next turn is I have the Pathfinder objective. So with me going up, I can go and send something in with Pathfinder to get into at least the Angelius. I would like to shoot the Angelius, but you know, it's higher defense. It's already in the forest as well for concealment. It's not going to work out well. So my hope is that between all my forces, I can take out 1 Scythian and the Angelius, and then just kind of like bubble wrap myself, and then kind of like absorb what's happening, and then after that, just be able to hit back like crazy. So going on to my turn, that's really what happened. Probably one of the real mistakes that I made here is I popped my feet. I really didn't need it for the threat, but I thought I could get some cheeky electro leaps, and I feel that was really a mistake. I killed a solo with that, but it really didn't matter. So really I did things like the Firefly got in there. Oh, by the way, my Storm Tire died to fire, so whatever. Shot in there with my Stormguard. They kind of got out of the way. Kept on shooting that middle Ravagore until it was dead, then started shooting into the right Angelius, then sent in my Jack, able to almost finish it off. I was really kind of saving a couple of shots because I wanted to kind of do something else, and it lived on like a box or 2, and so luckily I think it was actually my Firefly, I can't remember, but I cranked a damage roll, or more so to hit. Like it's an Angelius inside there in the forest being engaged, so I need to roll like a 12 or something, and luckily with aiming I was able to do it. So yeah, took down the Angelius as well. Mark was kind of groaning like, come on, but I'm feeling pretty good here, right? Like Jakes, I used the feet too early, but I took down 2 heavies, and I'm now at a spot where like I said, bubble wrap around me, and even though I know he's going to come in and do some good work, in return, between the Hermit and positive charge and all the focus, I'm pretty sure that I can just pretty much get in there and wipe out whatever he has. That being said, I forgot that godlike powers also gives flight. Again, that's something that if we were playing Mark II version, I would have remembered that, but this was changed and I didn't think that was there, and it turns out it is. And a Proteus that can fly with 4-inch reach, very, very scary. So I already was trying to protect myself for the objective so I couldn't be pulled very easily, and now I'm just worried that he might just get on to me type thing. So I'm very scared. going on to his turn then, as you see here, he got into me. So really what happened is the Scythian came in. I used my Hermit to try and make sure that it couldn't actually kill off the landing zone, because what it wanted to do was to try and get in there and actually try and kill the one Jack that was in the way so he could like land right beside me. Did eventually actually get it done, even though I actually did that. And then he decided to kind of like change gears, so it didn't really matter. The Angelius came in, killed the objective, so it wasn't protecting me anymore. And then he found he had this better landing spot with Proteus, because if he came over on the left side, he wouldn't be able to pull me past my own Jack. But if he came here, he could pull me forward. Now, it turned out that even with that, he couldn't pull it close enough to be in range of the other things. But this was definitely danger zone. I was camping too. He put on the Animus so that he was ignoring my escort armor buff. So I was basically just a 16-14 camping too. And after all of this, I survived with like 2 boxes left. So after this, we knew that was pretty much over, but holy crow, that was scary. So looking at the end of his turn here, yeah, he was all in on this, right? He had his beast come in, they did the things I said, other things just put out like Puppet Master and stuff like that, but Abby's standing right up there. I could either just go for attrition and kill off all the beasts that matter right now, or I can just go in after Abby, and that's what I'm going to do. So on my turn, that's what I really do. One of the things that really kind of like, come on, is that had I saved my feat, I could have actually charged Abby with Jakes, and that would have been perfect, but whatever. Basically just shoot her with a bunch of guns, go up here, shoot her with Jakes as well, put positive charge on the other Reliant, and then smashy, kill her, win the game. So after this, I was like, yeah, this Jakes list is working. Now, that kind of like is kind of like muted by the fact that I almost died, right? Like that Proteus got onto me. However, for me trying out this list for the first time, it did basically what it was supposed to. I could have been a little bit safer with Jakes and kept her a little bit further back, but otherwise, I felt that this was a pretty roaring success. So when it looked like I could get a second game in, I was like, yeah, let's do this. So let's now go and jump into that game. All right, so this next game here is going to be up against Dorian. He's another one. He's a new member here for the Patreon, one of the overlords, and he's going to be running good old Locke. You know, this is a caster that most Crucible Guard players don't like, and that's because, like, hey, yes, it is better in Convergence, but it's still a really good caster. And so this is something that Dorian's playing with the idea with too, has this list that's been doing reasonably well. And as I get to this next picture here, I'm a little bit worried, and I'll explain why. All right, so looking at deployment here, it's the same table, you know, like there were other games going on. They weren't done yet. So we just kind of went here, rolled off. In this case here, actually, I won the initiative and he realized that side was also better for him. So he took the other side. But as you can see, it's the same table. Otherwise, the main thing that's going to be happening here that's really a problem for me is this. First of all, if I want to go in and shoot him, that's going to be difficult. He has clouds. I don't have a lot of outs for clouds. I could be taking the objective for it, but that like lets me shoot one thing. Otherwise, the biggest thing that he also has on his side is that he has that little solo there that gives him +2 defense and +2 armor against guns. Okay, that's bad. And then he's also going to be having the Toro with countercharge, which really means that if my Firefly goes up to get within 5, well, he'll just engage me. And then if I want to shoot it, it's going to have that extra defense. That's another problem. Another problem is that if you don't know, the shooting from these damn Vindicators is brutal, especially if he can get in there and debuff you with something like he has several spots of it here in the army. They will just smash you. They just do 4 dice damage and they're just cranking damage into you. And I didn't take any mechanics because I was being a little bit cheeky with this list. So I'm very, very worried, but hey, maybe I can catch him off guard and maybe I can do something cool. All right, so on my first turn, this time, I don't even bother with Bullet Dodger. I do Escort. I know I'm out of range of all of his guns, so I just pretty much run up the table, getting up there. This one might have more of a scenario thing to it, so I am more looking at that scenario side for this game. You know, especially with me going first, I can threaten to get into his zone and contest things. I can try and get to these flags on my side. He's looking very central. He didn't go very wide, so I'm looking for that as an option, but again, I know there's a lot of tricks that he has in there. On his turn, he's going to do what I expected. He had that unit go up there and cloud up, and so between that, and remember that that burning effect is also a cloud, pretty much his entire army is safe from me shooting. Now, that being said, there are some options I have here. Now, another thing I should be explaining here as well is that several of his models broke while in the bag, so the light on the right is the one that has the spray gun that makes you take more damage from fire, which will be very important. And then the one on the left is the arc node as well. The light and the heavy on the right that are gray, those are the ones on Prospero. Everything else is actually going to be on Locke. So really what I'm looking at here is he has red line on the Toro already. It's looking like it's going to be doing some nasty, nasty things. And even though I can't do much, I can get some shots on the suppressor on the far right. So he does have mechanics. My shots might not mean much. He gets a free repair as well. But hey, I might as well take the shots I can. So on my turn 2, that's basically what I do. My my Stormguard rather, go up just to be kind of like an annoying position. Go up there with the Firefly so I can get some extra damage. And then I'm able to get, I think, 3 shots onto him, which is the best I could do. So they go up there and do their work, do some okay damage. You know, if he didn't have all that repair, I'd be a lot more impressed, but really, that was really it. Otherwise, the other cool thing I was able to do is go up there with my Firefly. It gets some good leaps, killing off that entire unit in the front. So, okay, the cloud wall is there for this turn, but now it's going to be gone. So, as long as I can kind of survive this, I might be able to have a good next turn. All right, on Locke's turn, though, he did pretty good. Pretty much, he does his sprays and things and then kills off most of the Stormguard. I was actually pretty lucky to keep the 2 that I did, so I'll take it. Also, talking about Locke on the right, the suppressor was not able to take out that Firefly, so that's really nice to have that up there. Meanwhile, on the left side, he sent in both of those jacks to take out that one I had over there, I should remember its name, the Firefly, and I'm okay with that, right? If they want to go over there and stay more so out of the battle, that's okay. Now, that being said, that is a suppressor, and all the suppressor wants to do is walk over and spray. So luckily, the surprise that I do have here is that I actually can, with my escort and feet, go through the forest and get reach on that suppressor. So if I wanted to, I could get onto it. Now, here's the problem with this turn. His shooting alone was able to take down one of my heavies and damage some others. Again, I told you how dangerous his shooting is. And as well kill the light and crippled the other light and blah, 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 who cares? He also popped his feet. Now, not only does that feat take away upkeeps, which didn't do anything here, but also, if I spend a focus in the control range of Locke, which is 14 inches, he gets to put a token on one of his battle group that gives it +1 defense and +1 armor. And so, really, I can't outrange that. And if I had more of my Stormguard, maybe I could get in there and contest things and just like wait it out. But if he was able to do all this work and kill a heavy last turn, he can just do the same thing again, especially with me not having these things there. He could probably kill another 2 heavies, and at this point, I wouldn't have enough to actually fight back. So I'm going to be forced to go into him with my feet. Now, Locke is camping everything. I don't feel that assassination's on the table, so I'm going to try and go in there and just try and take away as much as I can. I want to try and kill the suppressor on the right, which is already a little bit damaged. I want to try and at least engage the suppressor on the left, and then I want to take out the Toro. If I can do that and force the Vindigators to go into combat rather than shooting, I should be okay. So that's what we're going to try to do. Going into my turn, it did not go that well. Now, part of the problem is that I didn't roll very well. I can kind of say that dice were a part of this, but that would be a weak excuse. There were some misses, but dice happened. I rolled a lot of dice. So even though Dorian kind of said after, like, oh, this happened because of dice, I would actually say this happened more because of the feat. So basically what I did first is I sent my jacks into the suppressor on the right, and they were able to take it out. Hooray, it's gone. Then the other thing I was able to do is start going into the Toro. However, given that they went in there and put all those tokens onto it, it was really strong and was going to take a lot of work. But I had planned for that. I was going to be putting positive charge onto the first one, adding in that extra damage I need to mitigate it a bit. And one of the cool things with the actual Reliant is that if I get a critical to hit, I knock you down. So I don't care that I got extra defense. If I knock it down, it's done anyway. Well, I charge in with that first one, boost to hit, and miss. And that was really what was the starting of the end. Came in, kept on trying to do some other attacks. I had to give up on the suppressor as I tried to kill off this one Toro, and I left it on one box. I couldn't believe this. Now, I did also disrupt the Vindicator behind it, so that's something. But yeah, basically, I was able to go up in scenario, so I'm up 2 points on him right now, so that's something. But I really don't feel I did enough. Sure, you can say that that Toro that's super crippled right now and doesn't have a Cortex is not going to do anything, except this is in a list and a caster that can repair it and jackhammer, and you're going to see that this next turn is going to be brutal. So this is what it looks like after Locke and the Toro are done. So this is really what happens. The Prospero, the little junior he has in the back, puts on a spell that is able to give this thing, after it has his Cortex fixed, of course, 3 focus, and then after there's a chance it can explode, but it's also super duper strong. Remember, it also has Redline. Between its attack and all the jackhammers, it kills all 3 of the heavies up here and doesn't die in the end. So here I send in 3 heavies to kill this Toro, and not only do I fail, but it has the audacity to survive and kill off my 3 heavies in return. That is wild, but that is the power of Locke. If you can go and get in these debuffs, right, where, you know, you're rusting things and you have Redline and jackhammer, 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 you get work from those models, and that's why Locke is good. So this is probably going to be the beginning of the end. Otherwise, on his turn, he's able to kill off another one of the heavies I have on the right. The other Reliant, that's actually the real Reliant model on the right, was really messed up. He was able to kill off some more of my solos and things in the center, and then otherwise, you know, like scores the left flag, clears me off of the right flag. Now he's the one going up on scenario, and scenario, who even cares about that? Because I'm basically lost, right? At this point, I can look at the table and say I'm done, but I have a mission. I'm going to kill that goddamn Toro. Or at least I thought. So, okay, here's what I was trying to do. I had this cute little play where I gave Pathfinder to Dreyfus. Dreyfus was going to charge this light, maybe, you know, take it out, cripple it, whatever. But then, you know, like be able to like jump over here to the flag on the right was the main thing. And then the big thing about Dreyfus is that it's a Storm Knight. If you haven't been noticing, it's just been hopping around and like handing out focus like the Santa of Cygnar, basically. But basically, I start this thing up, charge in, and then he's like, counter charge, and just kills Dreyfus. So it's like, who cares? You know, like, this is the way that this game is going. And then after that, you know, with all I had, I basically go in there with my Reliant that had no Cortex anyway. And no, I did have a Cortex, but it didn't have its movement. Was that it? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I swing, I do like almost no damage because this thing's so tough. And yeah, I run over to contest, and that's really all I can do. On his turn, his Toro kills off that Reliant. He kills off my Hermit on the left. He's scoring everywhere. He's also getting my zone. All I have is Jakes2. Again, the game is basically over. But again, I want to stress that this Toro survived 3 heavies and then came back to kill 4 of mine so far. So I'm not just going to throw in the towel. I'm going to try and do something cool. And Jakes charges in here and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do something awesome. I'm Mat 7. You're just a light jack. I'm going to mess you up. No, I missed like almost every single attack. So I just come in here, use a whole bunch of focus, do a whole bunch of nothing, and then he just wins on scenario my turn. So that's the game. So there's the doubleheader, there's everything done, and I'm really happy I took on this challenge. When I threw this out there, I didn't know what I was going to get, and I'm really happy I did get Jakes2, because honestly, I'm not lying here. I feel this is the legitimate way to be playing Jakes2 now. This new archetype of taking the Reliance, and maybe it's not 6, maybe it's 5, maybe it's whatever number, and you're pairing it with 1 or 2 Fireflies, you have at least a minion of Stormguard, maybe 2. Like, that type of archetype seems absolutely perfect for Jakes2. Sure, you can do lightning with like Nemo 3 or something like that, but this archetype that allows you to shoot and do combat after, or if you're up against something that is immune to lightning, gives you a backup. We're like, okay, well, we're just going to fight this out anyway. This seems to be the perfect spot for Jakes, and I kind of feel now that out of all the casters, she might be the best one for this. So anyway, that's going to be our double header coming to a close. Hopefully you like watching this. If you have any thoughts on the archetype I was talking about Jakes2, about any of the games, please put it down in the comments below. And otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bye.